Hey guys, this is Camry15 and I'm back out with another video for you guys, and I'm talking some more MCU content. And I'm going to be reviewing the series on a weekly basis. What if? What if this character did something? What if this character did something? What if, in like today's episode, what if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers? And yeah, it was a pretty interesting episode. I like this episode. I'm gonna like where this goes. Now, spoilers, I have a feeling this has tie-ins to Loki. And again, if you have not seen Loki, well, just skip a few bit into the episode. But at the end of the Loki show, you see that obviously Sylvie killed the one known as He Who Remains, or AKA another version of Kang the Conqueror. And because of killing Kang the Conqueror, this one in particular, she essentially created the multiverse. So what I'm thinking is that even though this show is animated, I feel like it connects the MCU as a whole, because this is just different multiverses of what if, type of things. That's what the multiverse is. Here, it's one of these storylines in the multiverses. Well, guess what? What if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum? And that's what this episode really focuses on. And essentially, it's kind of a nice rehasher from Captain America: The First Avenger. Some of the events literally are exactly identical to Captain America: The First Avenger, just told in Peggy Carter's eyes. Two, Haley Atwell actually comes back to reprise her role as Peggy Carter, which I think the one thing about the What If series is cool is the fact that Marvel is actually bringing back some previous actors to reprise their roles in an animated format. So all they have to do is just do voice recording lines, like as if they were doing like a TV show or like an animated TV show or anime, English dubs for anime. They essentially come in and record their lines and they're out, and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool on Marvel's part. Now I don't know how they're going to handle it if we get a what if about something regarding Black Widow, because apparently with the whole Scarlett Johansson issue with her suing Disney, I saw an article saying that, well, Scarlett Johansson and Disney is cutting all ties with Scarlett Johansson, and any project she was supposed to work on with Disney, that's not happening. Well, in that whole situation, I think it's kind of faults on both sides. One, it's fault in Disney for not respecting her contract. And then two, it's a little bit on Scarlett Johansson's fault of not understanding, listen, maybe box offices aren't going to be 100% hits because we're still in a pandemic where there are still people catching the virus, this new variant of the virus now. And guess what? Most people aren't going to take the chance to go to a theater and see the movie. Now, I went to go see Black Widow, the movie, in theaters because I just didn't want to pay $30 on Disney Plus to go see the movie from home. But most people, since they are very alert and they are very aware of the virus and they don't want to, I guess, put themselves at risk, they'd rather just stay at home and watch the movie. And obviously, again, I can understand why Scarlett Johansson's pissed. She feels like she lost a lot more money than what she could have gotten. And I understand that. But she has to learn at the wrong time, even though it was wrong on Disney's part for not respecting her contract. It's also wrong for her thinking this movie's gonna be a box office hit during a pandemic. Most movies are going to flop in the box office because guess what? We're in a pandemic. They're not gonna make the money you would think if it was just no virus, no COVID. Like, look, Suicide Squad. I'm eventually gonna have to do a review on Suicide Squad, but from what I've been hearing, the box office for Suicide Squad isn't doing too well either. You wanna know why? Because it's during a pandemic and you're releasing these movies in the pandemic. So if these actors are going to get mad at the box office failing, well, a little bit of it has to do with the streaming service. Most people are going to not want to take their chances because they just don't feel safe. And listen, more power to you. If you don't feel safe going outside and doing things like eating in a restaurant, going to a movie theater, and doing other regular stuff because you're afraid of potentially catching the virus, I don't blame you. Listen, do what you want to do. That's your life. I'm not going to get on people, doing what they want to do. I just personally advise you when you go outside. My whole thing is social distance, wear your mask, and respect people's spaces, and do smart things. Don't do nothing stupid. Yeah, and then as well as go get vaccinated to help everybody else out so we don't have a lot of cases coming out. But that's just my thing. Anyways, I'm not talking about the whole Scarlett Johansson issue. We're here to talk about What If. So this week's episode of What If was, like I said, what if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers and stuff like that. So that's what we see. And we see how Peggy Carter in this episode gets the super soldier serum. We see the one Hydra agent who was going to kill, who we see in the Captain America, the First Avenger, kills obviously the Doctor and tries to steal the super soldier serum, end up, doing his whole thing. He actually shoots, Steve tries to stop him, but Steve actually gets shot. He gets taken down. He doesn't die, but he gets taken down. But Peggy is able to stop him, and I think actually kills him. And because of this, because they're going to lose the project, Peggy jumps in it because one, they can't give it to Steve because he's hurt and he's injured and everything, and it kind of has an open wound. And so Peggy jumps in there. She takes the super soldier serum, and honestly, a reenactment of the same scene when Steve in the movie got it. She comes out and she is buff as all hell, and she's a woman super soldier. Now, the one dude in command was not very happy. He's just like, this makes no sense. We didn't ask for a woman to do this because back in the day, obviously they didn't see women as highly today as they did back in the day. And stuff like that. So we kind of get the punching bag montage of her. Now, Steve talks to her, and Steve kind of is like, hey, listen, don't see it as a bad thing. See it as a way to help and everything. And stuff like that. And also too, he brings up about Bucky, about the group that Bucky was in, and how he's been trapped and he hasn't heard back from them. So we get the same similar scene, where when we saw Steve do it to free Bucky and the other, people in the prison that was held by Hydra. This time, obviously with Howard Stark's help, is able to go in there and free obviously Bucky and the others. And they go on freaking montages. 2, we see Steve actually, we actually see a montage where they stop Artem Zola. They get a hold of the Tesseract, and we see how Howard Stark actually makes an Iron Man type of costume in this thing, and their power source is the Tesseract that is the power source behind it. And this time, you would think Howard Stark would pilot it. No, Howard Stark doesn't pilot it. Steve Rogers is actually the pilot. And I guess in this universe, he was, I guess you could say, quote unquote, the first Iron Man. So I don't know so it's interesting. Hold on a quick second. All right, sorry for the quick cut off, but yeah. So apparently Steve in this universe, in this multiverse, is like the first Iron Man back then. So the next scene is, we get obviously the big scene from the first movie where they were going to get on the train to obviously hijack it and see what Hydra is up to. But the only difference here is, one, we get almost a scene where Bucky literally almost falls off the freaking train. But the difference is, the fact is, Bucky isn't the one that falls off the cliff and everything. This time we see Steve going with his Iron Man costume, but he sees in the train there's bombs and it was just a trap. And the thing is, Steve gets hit with the bomb, and essentially, that's the scene. Now I'm thinking, so in this universe, does Steve become like the freaking Winter Soldier or something like that? No, because Howard Stark says that the Iron Man armor is practically indestructible and nothing can break through it and everything. So what happens is, thanks to the information, because I'm guessing Carter, obviously, after being distraught about what she thinks Steve is dead, she essentially gets the information out of out of Zola to find the base of Red Skull. By then, Red Skull, it's already too late because Red Skull's already using the Tesseract for his own type of personal things after taking it from the obviously the Iron Man suit. But we see when he accesses the obvious Tesseract, you see this gigantic octopus like thing stretch its like tentacles out and everything, and we see this all happening, and the octopus actually grabs this gigantic octopus actually grabs the Red Skull and actually just kills him and crushes him. And I was like, well, that's one way to die. So in this universe, Red Skull dies in his original timeline. So instead of how we know in the MCU timeline, my God, why do I have hiccups right now? He was transported to the planet in space where it's where you get obviously the one stone where you have to sacrifice, you know, somebody you deeply care about. So what happens is we find out that Steve is still alive. They essentially power up his suit by, you know, putting a like jolting, kind of giving it like a car jolt and stuff like that, and he's got power, but only for a short amount of time. So you have him and Peggy try to force the octopus back into obviously the portal to go back to where it was brought out of. But the thing is, eventually when Steve loses power in the suit, he can't help out Peggy. And essentially the thing is, Peggy has to use her strength to force the octopus back into the Tesseract portal because that octopus is holding on. And essentially, Steve is watching this, and Peggy's like, I have no choice, I have to do this. But Steve is like, but you owe me that dance and everything. And you get kind of like the roles reversed in that whole scene of the fact of, well, don't worry, I'll be there late and everything and stuff like that. And then that's when she goes into the portal, and when she comes out of it, we see Hawkeye and Nick Fury there, where Nick Fury like telling Captain America, like telling Steve, like the war ended 70 years ago, and that's where the episode ends. So I thought it was a really good starting episode for What If. I can't wait to see what the other What If multiverse things going on. Like I saw one of them was like Spider-Man, what if he had Doctor Strange's cape? What if T'Challa was actually Star-Lord and stuff like that? So yeah. Another good thing to mention too for this, especially this one episode, I did like, again, the chemistry between Peggy and Steve. So to people who were mostly saying, oh, Peggy only fell for Steve Rogers because he was a super soldier, well, that's in factly false, because guess what? Even when Peggy was a super soldier, she still had feelings and cared about Steve and loved him. And stuff like that. Like they were almost about to kiss in this episode. So that goes to show you that's undying love between both partners. It wasn't a whole thing where she became infatuated because he was a super soldier, and stuff like that. So yeah, but that was the first episode review of What If. Each episode comes out every Wednesday, starting at 12 a.m. in the morning. So stay up for that if you want to do that. I fell asleep on it a little bit, to be honest, because it was late at night and I was tired. So I had to literally rewatch the episode this morning. But other than that, it was a good episode. I can't wait to see more What If episodes. There are 9 more episodes left, so can't wait to see. And other than that, yeah. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this first episode of What If, as well as hit the subscribe button to get more What If content and other more MCU content. So other than that, guys, I'm gonna get over. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night checking out this video. Until then, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.